What radicalized you? For me, it was seeing my colleague's face as I ran into him as he was leaving the office. We'd just pulled an all-nighter to get a proposal out the door for a potential client. I went to get a coffee since I'd been in the office all night. While I was gone, they laid him off because we didn't hit the $12 million target in revenue that had been set by head office. Management knew they were laying him off and they made him work all night anyway. I left shortly after. A complete breakdown during my master's degree where I was expected to work 80 hours a week, and then, when I finally graduated, seeing job ads for masters required $15 an hour. My boss quit after being diagnosed with a burnout. All her duty fell on my desk. I agreed to help them for a little while by telling them I wanted to renegotiate my contract at their earliest convenience. Well, we're 10 weeks later, and even after weekly reminder, I have not received a single answer or comment about my renegotiation. Now general manager, my boss's boss, went to Mexico during the holiday break and got COVID. So he is stuck there. He started off loading his job on my desk while he is enjoying an extended vacation. I demanded an immediate renegotiation of my contract. The only answer I got was that they appreciated me taking on additional workload. Few days later, official corporate documents started listing me with my old boss title and duty. That's still without talking to me about it. I'm handing my resignation today. Edit. I'll give you all an update. But it's probably not going to be as juicy as some of you expect. Real life is rarely that satisfying. I'll try to keep track of everyone who asked for an update and tag them in the thread I make. But this got a lot more traction than I expected. I was 20 and a bank teller. One day a week my shift started at 11 instead of 9. I walked to work like I did every day, and when I got there, police tape is everywhere. The branch was robbed just before I arrived and a coworker held at gunpoint. He handed over the cash and thank goodness no one was hurt. In the series of meetings that followed, HR proceeded to berate him for giving the robber too much money, i.e., bank profits. He went on stress leave and never came back. Seeing people that work their entire life and get completely railroaded when bad health comes knocking. If it's like that, then what the fuck's the point? For me, it was how my mom died. I had spent a few years in a new office job after escaping retail. Thought I had finally made it, or whatever. Real adult stuff. They offered health insurance, paid vacation, etc. All the stuff you're supposed to look for in a job, right? I should clarify this was almost 10 years ago now. One day mom calls me while I'm at my desk. Tells me she has cancer and not long left. I immediately started spending every weekend at her house. Just about a 5-hour drive. Until she got just too sick. And I had to make a decision. She didn't have health insurance. Small business owner. Self-employed. So her not being able to work meant no money on her part. No insurance meant end-of-life care was wildly expensive. And now I had to leave my job and move in to wait it out with her to make sure she was as comfortable as possible until the end. So also no paychecks for me. Because as soon as I started not being able to focus 100% on my stupid-ass corporate bullshit job, they said, "Well, sorry about that. Hope everything works out for you." So I never went back to an office job, to that state, or even to retail, honestly. Not a single entity had any sort of support to offer us. Any kind of help. Nothing. I sincerely don't mean the local community when I say this. Her vast network of friends in the area were mostly amazing and kind, but not exactly flush with cash. I lost my job, my savings, my entire plan for the future, my home, and my mother in the span of 6 months because there was less than zero support for a dying poor woman in this country. I'd leave here behind if I could, too. Friend died after not being able to afford insulin. They had a full-time job. Getting 2 lumbagos, a hernia, a burnout and a depression for a company that put people over profit. And then COVID hit. All of a sudden face masks were off-putting and scaring customers. Didn't get anything for the health risks we took except for a chocolate Easter bunny. Never working retail or any large company again. I was 27 before all this happened. I've been sympathetic for a long time because so much of what I see here is really just a call for basic human dignity and respect. The thing that radicalized me is becoming friends with Thomas through my church's homeless outreach. He has 3 jobs but can't afford an apartment. I cannot support such a cruel system. Mine has been repeatedly going above and beyond my job description in every job I've ever had. Always volunteering for additional duties. Constantly learning and improving myself. Demonstrating the kind of work ethic and competence that makes me my boss's go-to. Having a degree and still working toward higher education. And then watching incompetent, undeserving, lazy, entitled, power-hungry people get promoted because they know the right people and kiss the right asses. Nepotism and cronyism. I'm 36M and still am in a peon position, barely struggling to get by despite my qualifications in experience. Resumes in automated systems are rejected because they don't have the right keywords. Because no human is looking at the resume. But I'm told by hiring managers just to lie about my qualifications to match the job description. Exactly. No integrity. No reward or compensation for excellence. No consideration of factors beyond being a naive workhorse. U.S. military service. Also worked as a recruiter during the Iraq, Afghanistan campaigns is what radicalized me. Especially returning from deployment and seeing what was happening in America. U.S. playing resource pillager and coming home to see people zombified by consumption. The whole experience sent me pretty far left. Seeing my coworker almost cry at his retirement party, which was nothing more than crappy catered Italian food. Dude was here for 42 years and the owner of the company didn't even bother to show up. The HR manager came and said, "Thanks, Scott. Now go eat." And that was it. Realizing that the salary I was receiving for teaching 12 students was paid by the fees of only 2 of them. The for-profit college was taking everything else. Got into the same industry my father raised me in. He was able to afford multiple houses, cars, and raised 3 kids. I make the same as he did 40 years ago. Can't afford rent. Major legislative parties taking no action to secure the future, going so far as to stymie the executive and judicial branches in serving the people during their course for progressive change. Environmental damage for expensive energy infrastructure transition while funneling money to death and more destruction. Constant keeping of education and hospital funding at inflation rate or lower, declaring record funding each time it barely creeps along with GDP growth. An ever-reduced social safety net stymieing innovation, security, and culture. And the fact that this has all just been constant, with no fucking relief. Not 1 ounce of movement for people under 40 in my nation ever since I've ever been alive. I am blessed to go into a digital specialization and worked up to low 6 figs, but even slaving and toiling to learn and adapt to short insecure contracts and ever-changing tech and needing to prove myself, the legislative branches in my nation have done sweet fuck all to give to youth any share of the huge growth they've helped create. They purely target swing states for power and avoid big nation-building policy. House prices went up 20% last year. For the first time, investors are given more finance, i.e. loans from the bank, than first homeowners. In my nation, home investors get a 50% capital gains tax discount when they sell the property if it's been held for more than 12 months. i.e. investors are incentivized with tax discounts to speculate on basic necessities and the security of the future of my nation. I've recently resigned. Blessed to have some cash reserves, my government is forcing me to use the money I would normally try to use for a down payment to support myself first and delaying unemployment benefits, which are below poverty level, for 2 months. But I'm gonna starve the bastards out because the nation is seizing up from the pandemic. I don't even consider myself radicalized. Just common sense and fed up with this non-existent social contract. Fuck 'em. Democracies seem to harp on about genocide but then pay no attention to microeconomics of supporting a child becoming impossible for entire sections of society. Honestly, it was about 20 years ago. I was anti-work long before it was a thing. There was this woman on contract as an office admin in a big company I worked for, and she was amazing. She literally ran the office, helped everyone, did tons of after-hours work. I was young and really thought she was a shining example of a great employee. Then she was told on a Friday that her contract was up and she didn't have work Monday. She was then escorted out of the building, which was absolutely humiliating for no reason whatsoever. It was then I fully realized people in business can be sociopathic fucks. So my entire career has been based on not going that extra mile. Not being like that poor woman. Doing what I need to do to benefit me. Since then I've had a lot of confirmations that this philosophy is correct. Shite managers will excel because corporate culture promotes the ruthless that say what their managers want to hear and will trample on anyone to meet their personal targets. My first job was at a small conference company as an event manager. Management fostered a culture of micromanagement and bullying. My coworkers and I were regularly humiliated at company meetings when management would yell at us and pick apart our work in front of the entire company. They also did this fun little thing where they would take away our lunch hour and forced us to have team lunch and learn, where one of us would be forced to skip lunch and present to the team. Oh, and a company VP had this habit of sitting next to the door into the office in the morning and writing down when each of us came in. I was already radicalized before that, but that really stole the show for me. 8 screws in my spine. When they fired the only other CAD guy right before Xmas at our small family business for being on his phone after he asked for work, and they said, "Find something to work on." And then I was left to keep the mill afloat for an entire year as the only draftsman. I stumbled on this sub, then noticed every security camera in our office is pointed at the workers, not the customers. It's just bad. Currently looking for a new job from my current job while trying to figure out if there is a local union I can join. I've been a leftist for a long time, but after my first year as a PhD student, a job where I am a senior researcher told me that none of her coworkers have ever taken out all their full vacation. 5 to 7 weeks depending on age. That made me truly realize that academia is an exploitative gig economy, and I decided I wouldn't want to work there or anywhere which was anywhere remotely like it. finishing my doctorate in CA 2 years, then I am going to work somewhere nice, I hope. Thinking, if I were a manager, I'd just pay the employees a living wage. And then becoming a manager. And seeing that the labor budget I was given to work with was barely enough to give them $10 per hour. And whenever sales were down, the only option allowed to me to save money was to cut people's hours. I tried ordering fewer food items and was told I was putting the store's sales at risk, as if understaffing wasn't doing that.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.